Hello again, everyone. Edwin Leonard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the October 20th, 2021 full moon in Aries. Now, on October 20th, 2021, there will be a full moon in Aries at 27 degrees. Now, the full moon in astrology can reflect uninhibited, unrestrained emotional expression. It could represent energy that has been suppressed for some time. It's when one can become simply tired, full, or exasperated of something, and it may could manifest in the completion or ending or culmination of something. Sometimes it can be expressed in something that is unveiled, and what may have started out with the beginning of negotiation and reconciliation with the new moon in Libra can end with the ending can be completed with the ending of a combative or contentious situation. Now, the full moon astrology can affect all signs collectively, everybody collectively, but especially those in this particular case in Aries or Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant. Now, Aries, of course, because it's in their own sign in this particular transit. Now, in Cancer, well, Cancer, of course, because the moon does rule Cancer, and Cancer is simply very sensitive to all transits and phases of the moon. I believe this figures prominently in why the zodiac sign Cancer may be so fickle, moody, and temperamental. Now, also, too, when we have a full moon, there can be a greater propensity for accidents on the full moon. Emotions will be in full throttle, basically. Now, given that this full moon is going to be in Aries, they can be due to impulsive, quick, and abrupt actions. Um, there may be a greater tendency toward road rage on this particular full moon. Aries is very acrimonious energy, and we are having, again, it is a full moon, and these and when you're on the road and you have a full moon and have it in Aries, it can be a lot of angry emotions at work. And I would say there's definitely a greater propensity toward road rage in this particular full moon than even any other full moons. Now, people need to be extra careful and prudent, I would say, regarding sharp edges, like say on corners or tables. If your impulsive movements, of course, can result in cuts and injuries. Now, if you're working, and also too, another thing is working with things that could potentially burn you at this time, such as Bunsen burners if they're still in existence, or you're using welding tools. Welding could be connected with Aries Bunsen burners because of the heat, the fire. This is something I would say could be connected with the zodiac sign Aries. And again, it's greater susceptibility for some kind of accident at this time, or I would say could even be an injury as well, but more of an accident than anything, an injury because the emotions are on full throttle, and you're not always, I think at full moon, a lot of times you're not really thinking overly clearly at this time because the emotions can dominate. Now, another thing, of course, the full moon astrology can reflect the ending or completion or culmination of something. It could be the end of, in this case being the full moon in Aries, the ending of something volatile, combative, or contentious or acrimonious at this time. Say if this falls in your fourth house in your natal chart, it could be a contentious domestic situation. If it's in the seventh house, it may be one contentious situation with a significant other. This could be the ending of something that was pioneering. It could be an innovation that is completed. It could be some situation dealing with an overly abrupt or outspoken person, or it could be something connected with sports or leadership management position, and something that you may have worked on. It could have been a project or endeavor where you simply were not easily discouraged. Now, this could also be, full moons in astrology can reflect the revelation or unveiling of something. New moons, of course, are more introspective, they're more inward. When you're talking about full moons, it's what's coming out. And this is something, it's more public. Now, again, this could be the end, this could be revelation or unveiling of something. It can be a revelation to many, where there might be some courage or fortitude that the person was not aware of. It could be where somebody shows some courage or fortitude in a situation, in a crisis, as an example. It could be saving somebody's life, or getting somebody out of a vehicle, as an example. I mean, that's trapped in there, or rescuing somebody from a fire. This is where this energy might be something that might come out like this that you might not have been aware of before. You might have been flat out oblivious to previously. It could be also at the same time, it could also be something that comes out that's revealed that might be acrimonious, or it could be anger. But it also could be leadership prowess and ability, or something with initiative or pioneering energy, or even a fighting ability at this time might actually come out in something that might not have been you've been aware of previously. Now, it could also be about where something comes out with somebody that maybe is more easily provoked than you initially thought. It could be, it could be an ability for combat sports, or even some, this could be something to, if it's in, let's say if this occurs in one's 12th house, it could be something in some isolated cases. It could be, some kind of anger, mental illness like intermittent explosive disorder. I would say that would be very isolated. Because we're just talking about a regular full moon, not a super moon, not a lunar eclipse. It could just simply be a minor, anger issue that might, be connected with the self-undoing. If you have this full moon in Aries, if this transit does fall in your 12th house, as an example, or, if it falls in the 12th house, another way it might manifest, it could be a private battle that you had that you might open up about. It could be, something too, and if you have this like making an adverse aspect to your natal Uranus, again, that could be something, like intermittent explosive disorder, something like that may come out. If it falls in the 12th house, you have this making an adverse aspect to your natal Uranus, and as an example. But this is, but it's still very isolated. And I think everybody that has that transit occur will not experience it in that same way, of course. But anyway, now another thing too, and we'll try to look at this a little bit better. This as far as the chart and everything goes for this. Now, when you have this transit, it can be, where one might become very, I guess you'd say, tired, exasperated, or full of something. Now, being in Aries, it could be over someone's impulsiveness. It might be pushiness, abruptness, or just simply being overly outspoken. It might be, dealing with some very argumentative or combative person, or it could simply be tired of having to do things on the fly, very spontaneously, without planning. This could be especially true if adverse aspects, say, are made, to like, say, for example, to a Capricorn sun or ascendant, because that sign, of course, could be very premeditative, to say the absolute least. This could also signify the end for some people of an Aries job or position, especially if this falls, I call, one of the money houses, which would be the 2nd, 6th, or 10th house in the natal chart. It could be the end of doing something such as arson investigation, speech pathology, surgery, law enforcement, investigation, military position, welding, carpentry, firefighting, or even something connected with sports. Now, it's important too to look at the house this falls in, as this, of course, could impact the delineation and interpretation. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, now the fact, again, looking at the house this falls in can be significant because that could impact the delineation interpretation for you. Now, mine is going to fall in my 12th house. We are just talking about that before. Now this can manifest in a number of ways. One way this might be expressed with me, it could simply be becoming more cognizant that impulsiveness or maybe agitation or anger may be connected with the self-undoing, and may be tied to secret sorrows. It could be recognizing having the courage and the fortitude to confront or combat hidden adversaries. Now, maybe one way it could manifest, but I don't think it'll be this way for me. The end of enthusiastically doing things in solitude and seclusion. It could simply be the recognition, maybe being over enthusiastic about doing things in isolation and solitude or seclusion at this time. Now, another thing too, in some cases, this may reveal like an Aries health related issue, especially if this falls in the first or sixth house in the natal chart. The first house, of course, is associated with the physical body. The sixth house can be connected with physical related matters, physical illnesses, injuries. The thing is, like in this case being an Aries, it could be some problems with like headaches and migraines, or a facial injury, a mild brain injury perhaps, or some contusion or cut to the head, face, or skull at this time. Now, another thing, looking at this, looking at the degree, as far as Sabian symbols go, this is going to be at 27 degrees. And that degree can suggest that could be a prominent female in one's life, may emerge and play, say, an integral role in improving the person's stature in life and success. Now, you might become cognizant of certain attributes, such as using cutting instruments and certain and professions that require using edge tools, say like surgery. Now, also too, it's important to look at the aspects this transit makes to points in your chart, as well as this, of course, could impact the delineation and interpretation. Now, this is going to make a fairly tight opposition to my natal Jupiter in the 6th house. Now, because of this, I may need to guard against really, distorted, I'd say angry, acrimonious emotional reactions, since we're talking about Aries energy and the fact that Jupiter can have a tendency to enlarge and distort things. Now, and it might be the fact that this opposition is taking place in my 12th and 6th houses. It might manifest in really having the conflict between the work and the private life at this time. It might be, it's a time too where, for me to guard against becoming overly exuberant or enthusiastic about something. Can also manifest in the emotional need, for action and activity, which is the moon in Aries in the 12th. And I'm sorry, again, let me be kind, rewind. Could manifest in the emotional need for action and activity in the private life, which is the moon, the transit moon in Aries in the 12th house, versus the enlargement of relationships in the daily routine, which of course is the Jupiter in Libra in the 6th house. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Leonard saying stay well.